Welcome to this Fabricville tutorial. Today I propose to you how to make our first spring dress. It's a pretty wrap-over dress from the Bodice B6554 pattern and made in light green tencel. To make this dress we'll need the pattern, pins, a marking pen, scissors, fabric, a sorted thread, a piece of bias tape, and some interfacing. Firstly, I pin the pieces of the pattern onto the fabric, following the grain line, and then I cut them all out. I then transfer all the markings. I'm going to interface the facings with light interfacing. I'm going to start by stitching the dart on the right bodice front. And pressing it down. With the right side inside, I fold the belt lengthwise and I stitch the end but leave open the notched end. I trim the allowance, turn it right side out, and I press. I place the right belt front to the right bodice front, matching the notches, and I stitch. I prepare the left belt and bodice the same manner, then I lay the front sections on top of the back that I previously serged the edge of, right sides facing, and I stitch the sides. I leave an opening at the right side between the notches. I press the seams open, then I make a narrow hem around this opening. After having serged the lateral edges of the sleeves pieces, I lay the front sleeve to the back sleeve at the underarm edge and press the seams open. With right sides facing, I pin the sleeve to the armhole edge, matching seams and notches. I stitch and then serge the edges together. I press the seams toward the sleeves. I stitch the front sleeve to the back sleeve at the overarm edge and press the seams open. Then I'm going to make a narrow hem at the sleeve's bottom. I fold the edge up 1.5 centimeters to the back and press. Then I fold again and stitch the hem. I have serged the unnotched edges and the shoulder edges of the front facings. Then I pin the facings on the bodice fronts with the belt sandwiched and I stitch. I open out one folded edge of the bias tape and I'm going to pin it on the back neck edge. I stitch. Then I trim the seam allowances. I turn the bias tape to the inside and I pin. Then I stitch. I'm going now to understitch the facing. That means that I stitch on the facings and the front seam allowance close to the seam line. Now let's make the skirt. First I've serged the lateral edges of the skirt panels. Then I stitch the back pieces together at the center back. Now I stitch the front skirt pieces to the back at sides with the right sides facing. And I press these seam allowances open. Now after having serged the flounce pieces lateral edges, I stitch the front flounce pieces to the back flounce piece at sides. To hem the lower edge of the flounce, I first stitch 1 cm from the raw edge. I turn it in and press the edge along the previous seam. Then I fold again and stitch the hem. With the right sides facing, I pin the flounce to the skirt, matching the notches, and I stitch. Now I serge the allowances to the skirt's top and I press the front edge folded to the inside. I can now make a narrow hem on the front openings above the flounce. I'm going to pin the skirt to the bodice with right sides facing, making sure to match the centers and the seams. I turn the lower edge of the front facing over the seam. And I stitch, then serge the waist seam. Then I turn the facing to the inside. Last step, I hand stitch the shoulders edges of the facings to the shoulder seam allowance of the bodice. And our dress is finished. Enjoy your sewing, and thanks for watching.